Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rainboots.com, and today I'm sharing a new pattern, the Knockout Stout in a bunny gnome. If you'd like to make it, just boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here crafting. This is the guy we're making today. So you can sew or glue this pattern, and it has these big floppy ears that you can either wire or put down to the side or up in the top. And it of course has to have cute little badonkadonk back there. So I'm going to sew this one. Again, I will share a non-sewn version of this pattern as well. So if you're new to sewing, like you're borrowing somebody's sewing machine, the only thing you have to remember is this: start and reverse your stitches. When you're following the pattern for the body, you're just going in two straight lines. That's it. The only trick here is you're going to turn the piece when you get to the bend in the body shape. Isn't that easy? Again, start and reverse those stitches, and then be sure to lock them all in place at the end by reversing again. So we're left with this little pouch. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to put this seam right in the center, and then we're going to squish this part down. Look at that. It makes a pretty diamond, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start cutting up that diamond. I'm just going to measure 1 inch down from the stitches, not from the edge of the fabric, and I'm just making a mark here for you. You don't have to use Sharpie on yours. You just make a mark with chalk or pen or pencil, anything. Pin it and then sew right on the lines that you made. Be sure to start and reverse those stitches, locking them in place. Now we're just going to cut 1/4 inch to the opposite or to the outside side of these little stitches, and it looks like this. All right, pull it apart. We're going to turn it right sides out, and now you're left with this beautiful rectangle solid bottom that we can make a very chunky guy. Now in the hat, whether you put the bunny edition on or just make the hat as you want, you can vary the brim. Again, if you're varying the brim, this is it. You start, you reverse your stitches. You can see how slow I'm going. This is how I actually sew. I am not an expert seamstress, okay? I only sew for crafts, and the reason I like to do it is because it's way faster than hot gluing them. That said, you can do both. All right, so I cut my extra stitches off, and now we're going to put these two hat pieces right sides together. So either side showing will have the brim. I'm going to mark where it says in the pattern to not add ears below. Speaking of ears, these are super simple. In the pattern, I do recommend you use 2 pieces of fleece, 1 color, 2 colors, whatever you want. I'm using a cotton and a fleece. And I have a lot of tips in this pattern on how you should cut things, and that is because we need it to be stretchy. Now here's just a tip. You don't have to do this. If you have pinking shears, get the rounded bits. It makes it a little easier. If you don't have pinking shears, just cut little triangle on all the curved parts of the ears up there at the top and just pull it off. See that? So you're going to make 2 of these ears, and then once you have, use a pair of needle nose pliers, stick them all the way inside, grab the top, and then watch. Look how easy this is. Do not pull on these 2 flappity flap flaps right here. All you need to do is just straight down, straight away from you. Rub the entire thing in between your fingers. Now here's a point. You can top stitch this, which just means you go all the way around the outside, locking these 2 pieces together. You can stuff these, and you can add wire. The pattern accounts for all of those options. So now we're going to assemble the hat. So we haven't sewn anything or glued anything yet. We're just going to put the ears in through the center of the hat, and you're going to want to catch the stitching. So what I mean by that is the little 2 areas that were open for us to sew and flip are going to be sticking out the top of the actual body of the hat, okay? So once you have them even, all you're going to do is pin it all in place, and guess what? Take it to your sewing machine or glue it. Either way, it's super easy. If you're taking it to your sewing machine, you can sew with a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch allowance, whatever you're comfortable with. Fleece is the most forgiving fabric I've ever worked with or will. Cut off your extra strings, flip it right sides out, and here you have a nice little bunny hat. Now, the pattern also allows for a couple variations in where you place the ears. Now we need regular gnome making stuff, some weight, some polyfill. We'll need scissors and a glue gun. For a nose, you're going to either use a 1-inch wood ball or you can create your own fabric nose. I'll share both of the versions, but the fabric nose is kind of what I'm doing for this one. Some embroidery thread, a needle, and look, our two pieces we made. We're going to take the body and add at least 1 cup of poly pellets. These are non-odor, non-moisture absorbing. Tamp them down on the table and then stuffity, stuff, stuff, stuff. You will want to stuff more than you think you want to stuff because polyfill breaks down over time. When you squeeze it, it should bounce back to its original size. I'm going to take embroidery thread and an embroidery or a darning needle, and I'm going to stay about 1 inch from the top edge of the fabric and just make a running stitch, which is just going in and out, in and out. There's no knot on the end of that thread. We're just going to go all the way around, and the only trick here is you have to end right next to where you started. Pull that taut, stuffing all the stuffing down in there. I am a paranoid person. I knot it, I double knot it, I wrap it, I use glue. Call me paranoid. It's okay. I just don't want that body to ever, burst from all the squishing. Anyway, I'm put a little glue, tie an extra knot, cut it off. Now the the nose I'm using can be like this one is made with the 1-inch wood ball, or we can take a 3x3 piece of flannel, knit, whatever you have on hand, fleece even, and you're going to make a running stitch in a circle and stuff that a lot. So the best part about using fabric noses is you can actually mold them to whatever shape you want. I made mine a little oval, tied it off, and set it aside. I'm going to cut a 3-inch wide by 3-inch tall beard in a U shape. Now, you don't have to draw on the back of it. This is for your purposes. You also don't even have to create a U shape. In other videos with this pattern, I'll share some of the other sizes and shapes that I made. Just to cut it out, you're using an X-Acto knife and just pulling it apart. I will say you were going to put the gnome beard a little higher on this body because we got a chunky fellow here, okay? So don't glue it down yet because especially if you have made this cool fabric nose, you're going to create a maybe 1/2-inch slit here. And let me just make sure you can see it goes all the way through. There's my finger. And you're going to take that back part. We didn't cut off any of the extra fabric or those strings, right? You're going to take that, pull it through the back, and then glue that down so it looks like a Demogorgon from Stranger Things. I should get points when I reference pop culture. Anyway, if you like that, give me a like on the video. Okay, so I'm just gluing that down, and now it's time to glue the entire gnome beard to the body. You can see I left a pin in, and now I'm going to take it out because now I know where I need to put it. Make sure you get all the sides and really squish it on there. Look how cute it looks already. Oh my goodness. If you want to add whiskers, you absolutely can with a little embroidery thread cut to about 5 inches long. I say 5 inches long because inevitably I want it shorter and I mess it up. So I'm going to use some matte Mod Podge and the longest paintbrush I could find. I don't know why. And I just made sure to coat those on either side and let them dry. I did have to cut them down a little bit for my liking, but again, this is all about personal preference. You do you. And I'm going to make a little X pattern, which is 2 of them, but not yet. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to make a pom-pom bunny tail using a 2x2-inch square of faux fur that matches my beard. I'm going to take the detail tip glue gun and point every corner right to the center. Just glue, move it in, and then once it's all together, you're just going to add a bit of hot glue in the center and squish it all into a flower. That's going to give us a nice little round thing we can rub in between our fingers, shake it out on the table, and then this is like my favorite part. It's time to give it a haircut. I am no trained hairdresser, so you can see I massacred that. But it looks really cute in the end. But be sure to save all that for stuffing something later. We're not going to glue that on yet because we want to make sure that this part gets on first. I'm going to pull the hat down pretty far on this body because I want to scrunch. You can have a taller gnome. Just be sure to put your hand up inside there and pull back that little bump that we have when we tied off the body. All right, so now I'm going to be gluing on this hat. I like to make sure I get the scrunches, which means I'm going to glue it 2 places on front, right above the beard, on the body right here, and on the top of the nose. And I am using my glue gun to spread out that glue so we don't have any big dollops of glue anywhere. And now that I got the nose, I'm going to scrunch that front into place, and I'm going to let that dry. Then when it's dry, I can turn around and do the entire back. I do it along that seam so that I can make sure no hot glue is showing. Pull that down, let it dry, and then do the sides. So we're just going to make sure that we have the little seam tucked in up under there and press each of those down. Isn't this easy? This is super easy. And this doesn't take very long, this project, because it's sewn. And it's easy. I love easy stuff. Glue on that bunny tail, and hey, we're not done because now we get to put on the whiskers. So we want to make sure we get them up under whatever nose you're using. So you just use the tiniest bit of hot glue, and you can even pick up the nose if you don't have any space between the beard and it, because we really don't want to get any hot glue inside that faux fur. So I'm just going to pop this one up under here in an X fashion, and then I let that sit and dry. For decorations, I'm adding these paper flowers left over from the Highland Cow tutorial, and I'm just going to add a little bit, maybe like 1.5 inches of that wire on, and that's just going to give me a little extra stability. I poke a hole in the top of the hat next to the seam with that same darning needle that I used. I pop in the wire, and then I'm going to add a bit of hot glue just to keep it there. So FYI, make sure you don't get it in front of the ear, otherwise it won't flop over really well. In case you want to do flippity floppity ears. I don't know. In other videos, I will show you how to wire them. They're super cute. But here's our guy. He didn't take very long, did he? But oh, look at him. He's precious. That's what I think. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Down below, you can get the pattern for this stout gnome. And as always, I really appreciate you being here with me. Please like, share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.